Shalom, family. It's good to see you all here. I hope wherever you are, you're staying in the air because it's hot as an MF for where I am. It is hot. Man, it's hot. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I heard somebody just knock on my door. Isn't it ironic? As soon as you start doing something, that's when people show up, right? That's when they show up. All right, hold on, y'all. I just gotta tell somebody to go down and grab, I think a package is on the door. 1 second. Sorry about that, y'all. They were supposed to bring my water delivery Saturday. They brought it now. They brought it. So, pardon me, this was unexpected. In fact, I would not have had a live stream if I would have known they were coming. They come when they feel like it, I guess. Okay, let's get into this. Many of you remember Susan Smith. I remember when this happened. I remember where I was working, and I remember this was the buzz all around the office. And I remember she would be on TV sitting with, I think it might have been her ex-husband, and she would be crying and there would be no tears coming out of her eyes. This composite is the sketch of she claimed this black man, which is a made up black man, carjacked her and her 2 kids were in the back seat. Now, many of us, when carjacking was real prevalent and going on a lot, it still goes on a lot, but it was rampant, especially back in the 90s. Most carjackers were drug addicts, and what they want is your car and your money. Other than that, they don't want no white children. They don't do with your white children. They don't want your children. So a lot of times when somebody carjacks you and there's kids in the car, they'll drop them kids off somewhere. They'll drop them off at a church or throw them in front of a hospital emergency, but they don't take your kids. They don't want your kids. So, and when you look at the sketch looks like a typical stereotype, don't it? It looks like a stereotype she came up with in her head. And the intersection and the getaway, because I don't live in South Carolina, the giveaway was they said the location where she claimed she was carjacked, they said that was a busy road. And there's no way the time of the day that she claimed this happened, it would not have been a lot of cars there. But she tried to also claim it was hardly nobody around during a time when it would have been a lot of traffic. So there were a lot of holes in her story. But I just remember us talking about this on the job, and we were like, I don't see not one tear coming out of her eyes. And that was probably the most noticeable thing. And she went on and on and on with this, y'all. I mean, she really put on the drama. This woman missed her calling. She should have got into acting for real. She should have got in her acting. But the bottom line is her acting didn't even fool the most stupid person among us. We all knew something was wrong when we were listening to this woman and her story. So what she did was she drove to, I believe it was a lake or a pond down there, and she put the car in drive and let the car roll right into this body of water. And of course, her kids were so little, they couldn't get out of that car on their own. So they ended up drowning to death. But boy, did she put on a performance back then. And I know many of you remember that. Yeah, she killed her own kids and then tried to blame it on some fairy tale black man, and look at that composite. Don't nobody look like that. Some dark-skinned man with big pink lips. Come on, man. We were all laughing about that. And look at his ear. What black man do you see walking around with ears that look like that? What is this, an alien that cropped up out of her head? Whose ears look like that? Okay, I've been looking at black men my whole life, and I never seen ears that look like that on nary black man. Okay, not one. Boy, I mean, she really put on the drama. So ultimately, Susan was rightfully sentenced to prison, and I believe she's in her 40s now. She's in her 40s, and that picture of her from prison, she got makeup on. That's eyeliner she got on. She got makeup on in prison. So anyway, um, let's get into this story that recently came out. Susan apparently is getting very impatient and she wants out. She is literally begging her family to do something to get her out of jail. So, I mean, the murders took place of her 2 children in 1995. 1995. It's hard to believe it's been that long. So, convicted murderer Susan Smith begged for her family to help her get out of prison. RadarOnline.com has learned Smith was sentenced to life in prison for the 1995 murders of her two sons, Mike, 3 years old, Alex, 14 months old. Remember, she was dating some guy, and I believe his father was like one of the executives or something of the Winn Dixie, and he did not want children. Can you believe that? Because this man she was running around with did not want children, she killed off her kids. I mean, you got to be a wicked somebody. Instead of killing off your kids, why don't you just find a man that don't have any problem accepting a woman with children? Why would you? I mean, it is so twisted. It's unimaginable that somebody would do that. You know how many men out here that don't mind a woman with children? There's plenty. She did not have to be with one that didn't like having children. As simple as that. It's amazing what some women will sacrifice. You got to be messed up to sacrifice your own flesh and blood like that. But she did. The killer mother of two, 30-year parole date is set for 2024. You know what it is? She probably thinks she's going to get turned down for parole. She probably believes she will. And I don't know, they could be indicating to her that she ain't getting her behind out of there. So within a year, she could be going to her very first parole hearing. Smith urgently needs her loved ones' assistance if she wants a shot of freedom. So I guess she's trying to get her family members to come in and go before the parole hearing board. Uh, Let her butt stay in there. Seriously, let her behind stay in there. In October 1994, Smith's story captivated the nation. She didn't captivate me. I knew she was lying. You know, I think after being around them folks long enough, we know when they're not telling us the truth. We just know our spirits can feel it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So, anyway, they're claiming her story captivated a nation after she contacted local South Carolina police and reported that she had been carjacked by a black man. And just for fabricating that lie, she needs to remain in there. And her two sons were taken along with her vehicle. For 9 emotional, excruciating days, Smith played the role of a distraught mother. She wasn't distraught at all. Her butt wasn't even crying. So, following the extensive investigation, Smith finally confessed that she did murder her children, but she said it was supposed to be a murder suicide. But I guess at the last second, she hopped her butt out the car and just sacrificed her children. When Smith drove her car into John D. Long Lake, she claimed she had initially planned to remain in the vehicle as it sank, but changed her mind and escaped. Now, you changed your mind, but you wouldn't even get in the back seat to get your children out first, even if you wanted to sacrifice the car. I mean, come on. I mean, how do you leave your kid? You jump out the car, you change your mind about taking your life, but you won't even reach for your children. Ooh, this woman is no good. She ain't no damn good. Smith watched from the shore as the car with her two children disappeared underwater. And you didn't even feel the need to save them. You just stood there and watched them die. He's all rotten behind something. So, according to the messenger, there is one family member that explained Smith need to prove to the court that she had support waiting for her if she's paroled. Okay, now you see why she's begging her family. So she needs support. She needs at least one family member that is willing to support her when she comes out of jail. And they're probably not stepping forward. That's why she's begging. So she needs to show that she has something here on the outside, the family member explained. So she wants affidavits from us to basically vouch that she's got a support system at home. While Smith desperately wanted the affidavit, her fate was ultimately left to the court and her family, which appeared to be a long shot. Okay, so look like her family ain't really stepping up for her. That's what's happening. They would be a fool to do it. They would be a fool to do it. She is a cold-blooded killer. I wouldn't trust her around nobody if I were on the outside. If she came back on the outside, I would not trust her presence around anybody. Mm-mm. If you can't even feel nothing for your flesh and blood, you're not going to feel nothing for anyone else if they were dying or dying in front of you or you were responsible for their death. But yeah, look like nobody is stepping up from her family, and it's going to ultimately be the courts deciding. And without anybody vouching for her, she's not going to get out. I think she needs to stay in there for life. I really do. She need to keep her butt in there. Don't nobody need no child killer, children killer out on the street. Who the hell needs that? You know? Yeah, well, you can see she aged, but like I said, in that picture, you can see she got makeup on. I see the eyeliner on her. That's eyeliner. So I guess she got a hold of some in prison. No, I wouldn't trust. Yeah, you got that right, Christina Davis. You said I wouldn't trust her with a house plant. You got that right. Nah, she don't need to get out. And I don't feel bad for her because, you know, anytime your initial response when that car went in the water was to blame a black man, that came off of the top of your head first. Hell no, let her butt stay in there. Let her stay in there. Mhm. I hear you. She can keep her butt right in there. I don't think anybody will be worse off if she stays in there. Nah, she's been in there for a while. She gonna look far worse than that 10 years from now. 10 years from now, she gonna really get a serious black eye on aging. It's gonna be far worse than what you're looking at. Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, yeah, she could have gotten black men jailed, black men killed, you know, and they were literally when this first broke, y'all, and this composite came out, us in the black community where I live, we were laughing at the composite because it looked so ridiculous. But they were literally out there in South Carolina looking for a black man, and they were openly even the citizens down there were like, "We're gonna catch that N word. We're gonna catch that N word." You know what I mean? It just goes to show you how somebody that looked like Susan Smith can get them all worked up and angry, and then come to find out this person that is drawn up doesn't even exist. And I remember, I believe it was one of her family members actually apologized to the black community for what she did for blaming a black man. And I remember that too. I think it might have been her brother or somebody in her family. I believe it was a man. And he stepped up and apologized to the black community down there in South Carolina for what she did. But you see, for those 9 days, she had everybody worked up down there looking for a black man. You know how easy it would have been for somebody to get killed or harmed for no reason, And let's say they would have grabbed a black man within 24 hours. She could have played it all up and act like, yes, that's him. That's him. You know what I mean? Yeah, because they do that crazy mess. But nah, leave her trifling behind in there. There is no reason for her to get out. I don't feel bad for this woman. I hope she rots in there. I hope her last breathing death, day before death, she's stretched out on a cot in prison. That's where she belongs. Yeah, I'm sure she's dying to get out of there. Yeah, I remember Tex Var. I remember the Charles Stewart story. Yes. And they sure did they turned up on the black community in Boston. I remember that. I remember when that was happening, and I remember watching the news, and the black guys there were even saying they were scared to be out on the streets. They were getting approached, and people were, "You probably did it." That's what they were doing to those men there. And come to find out, Charles Stewart, he was the one that was doing everything, but he tried to put that on a black man. But those black men were being rounded up in Boston. Some of them were just walking along, minding their business, and people were walking up accusing them of, of doing the same thing. I was like, it's crazy how this public will turn just on a word of mouth, and they will turn up on that. Yeah, but they did George Stinney rotten. They did him rotten. And then decades later, you're going to admit he didn't do anything wrong. How demonic is that? Yeah. And we saw what Carolyn Bryan did to 14-year-old Emmett Till, just on her word. No proof, no nothing, just her word. That's why you got Karen out here today, because Karen knows historically that's all she got to do is speak against someone black. That's all she got to do. And she knows it. That's why she's gallivanting up and down the street doing all the mess she's doing. Yeah, they lie on us, lie on imaginary black people and everything. You can be an imaginary black person and they'll lie on you over that. Yeah, y'all, stay tuned. I got coming up another story on what's that woman? Susan Lawrence. She admitted she was upset before she shot and killed AJ Owens. She admitted she was upset that her children called her Karen. I kid y'all not. She was upset that her children called her Karen, and AJ went over there to confront her. And wait, you can call them kids racial slurs all day and all night, that's okay, but if they call you Karen, you gonna gun down their mother? you know I mean, the nerve. You can't be called a name, but you want to go out in them streets using all kinds of racial slur. You should hear some of the stuff she was saying to them kids. More and more is coming out, so y'all stay tuned. I'll probably do that one on a premiere. I might even do it tonight, so just be on the lookout. Trust me, y'all come and see this one. It'll definitely be worth your while. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude this live stream, y'all. Please enjoy the rest of your day. I sure hope you're not burning up like we are. It is hot as a mug here. It's hot. You really can't be out there. You got to be under the air. So, y'all, just be on the lookout. If I do the live stream on that one, I'll probably do it like around 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So just clean your slate for that time. Shalom, family.